Hello, good people. Welcome back. We have had our first GOAT format tournament of the season, and it was taken down by a pilot named Jaylu, who was playing none other than a Rescue Cat deck. We actually had two different kinds of Rescue Cat decks in this top eight, so maybe a new cat meta? That'd be pretty sick. But Jaylu, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, hello, my name is JLo. I like to play Rescue Cat um, since probably almost a year now, but I'm playing Goat since like 1.5 years, so not a long time player. I'm usually a modern player, but Goat has been brought to me by my girlfriend. She also plays Goat, and so I grew into it and I really enjoy it. And I'm glad that the decks I build show results.
Yeah. Did you pick Rescue Cat because it reminds you a little bit more of the modern style of play?
I just really like the versatility of Last Will plus Rescue Cat. I also think the artwork is cute. So that's like one advantage of the deck. But it's just so flexible. You can get the Stein, you can get Lily, you can get Exiled Force. And as you said, it's just more combo heavy. It's not like I set a monster, I set a back row. It's really like it can kill from 8,000. And I really enjoy the versatility and tempo of this deck.
Yep. I agree with you completely on that. All of those things, including the cat artwork, is why I like to play cat as well. But why don't you go ahead and get into the deck and tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so of course, through Rescue Cat, um, no questions asked. The Midas Radiant, people have baited, not don't play more than one and stuff, but for this deck, three I think is the correct number. And also you have the lethal lines with Prima, because Cat plus Prima can also can get three radiance and the Wombat on an empty field, which is 8,500 damage. And just setting a radiant as a bluff when you do hard draw it isn't too bad. Another star is Gigantes, absolutely mandatory at 3 in this deck. You can make it live so easily, like normally you don't need to wait for Cat Will. Obviously it's ideal, but if like if the opponent has a strong board, you go Cat, you get like Wombat plus Radiant and stuff. Take over the monster, your monster dies, and on your next turn, or immediately on that turn even, you have one Gigantes life, and on the next turn you have all 3 life, like one cat makes 3 Gigantes life, which is crazy. And you also have your Earth Warriors, so just very, very strong. Yeah, the Warriors is the 2 attack forces, the Assailant, and the Exiled Force. I don't play level 2. I played level 2 in my early days, but with like Exiled Force, Mind Control, 2 knocks, you don't really need it. Also, because you play Traptor's Shoot, you can get out the spies and stuff, which are really a pain. The Assailant is just very versatile. It anti-synergizes with Gigantes, because it gets banished, but if the opponent Sakuretsu armors it or something, it's still in the graveyard. And when your Exiled is gone, it's an out for like Jinzo, BLS, and stuff. And your attack force is basically just there to attack once and die. And Exiled Force is obviously crazy, since it's a target for Last Will and a trigger for Last Will. Then we're gonna finish the will targets first. The Lily in the top right. Just very strong. It's Earth, can get you some lines. There are no OTK lines with like Cat and Will for Lily, but it's close. So when your opponent already duoed or you got in with a little bit of damage, Lily is sometimes the better option than Stein. And speaking of, Stein is just crazy. There, sometimes you don't really need to go for Oz in the OTK. Sometimes you really need to just roll the dice and get a Gatling Dragon when your opponent has like 2 set monsters. Or what I had when I had no play and I only had Stein, I used Stein for Dark Balta, so that I was able to kill the set monster my opponent has without triggering its flip effect. So you sometimes need to take risks with Stein, especially with a bad hand, but that's how it goes. And the 2 Panda and the 2 Wombat, The only change from my GGP Dortmund list is the second Wombat, which I swapped with Snatch, which sounds crazy, but I didn't like Snatch since it doesn't really do that much versus Turbo, in my opinion at least, because I want to kill Turbo before they get like Vaporless and stuff, and I still have outs for them in the main. Against Warrior, the matchup is so bad that like the game one matchup is so bad that one Snatch will not save you, especially you don't play that much back row. They will keep their MST or Dust Tornado, and they will use it on your Snatch. But Snatch is still good. And 2 Panda, of course, because with 2 you can kill through Go tokens when your opponent has like another monster. So full monster zones, Cat plus Will for 2 Pandas and 2 Radiants is 8,100 damage. And I think that's pretty nice to kill through goats. Then we have the Mind Control and the Nox. Sometimes you play 2 Mind Control and 1 Knock. I decided to play 2 like in Earth Aggro because we also play the Exiled Force and the Trap Dust Shoot to remove the problematic monsters anyways. And I really like that ratio. I like to get rid of like cards like Sangan and Serpent. Will is self-explanatory. Trunate also at 3. You can use it on Prima. Just clears all the back row. You can go for the OTK. Rodas, very, very good consistency. You basically play 3 Exiled Force with it. So you play 2 Rota, 1 Exiled, 3 Cat. So that's 6 trigger for Last Will, not considering the fact that you can crash your monsters, which sometimes comes up. And then we have Hot Grace, no duo, because you don't need duo, you don't need hand advantage, and you also play 3 Trap Dust Shoot. Sometimes you just make your own Dust Shoots dead, and hand knowledge is better than removing 2 cards from your opponent's hand, in my experience at least. Prima, as I mentioned, gets your warriors back, gets your cat back. Heavy, obviously, and the MST, which I saw some people cut, especially in your other video, but I still think that MST is the correct choice because Snatch on like your Stein or Attack Force or Lily can be very devastating, and I like to have chainables, especially because MST can play around Trap Dust Shoot, because like some people, especially in Dueling Book, will throw it in the draw phase immediately when you have 4 cards, but you just say, I have prior, they set it back, and you can then MST the other back row they set maybe. So it's just very versatile and prevents Prima and Call of the Haunted. Already mentioned the Trap Dust Shoots. Absolutely crazy in this deck. When you know the opponent's hand, and then you know there's no Battle Trap or something, or no TT or Ring, you just don't need to waste your spell trap cards, your spell trap removal. Gets the spice out of the opponent's hand or the chaos monsters. Just really, really good. Ring, of course, it's damage, it's removal, it's another out for 1000 Dice Restrict, which can sometimes be a pain, and the TT. And TT over Mirror Force because you can normal summon Cat, use its prior, and then you can chain Torrential Tribute. Just clears the entire board, which is exactly what you want for Cat. Yeah, then we can go to the sideboard. We have obviously the Earth monsters. We have Cypher Soldier. Warrior is a really bad matchup, and 2 Cypher Soldiers, they're also a last will target. Very, very strong. And then the 3rd Panda and 3rd Wombat. Mostly I switch the Wombat with the Panda, for example, against Warriors, because Panda is not that good against Warriors and other aggressive decks, and Wombats can sometimes be good against a Lady or a Breaker or a Tribe or a Don. And Panda goes, of course, in versus everything that plays Scapegoats. Archer is a must when you play Rota. Really good versus Burn. The Cyber Jar, which won me like 2 or 3 games in the tournament, which is absolutely crazy. I wouldn't recommend Morphing Jar because Morphing Jar discards your hand, and sometimes when you have like Cat Will, you definitely don't want to set Morphing Jar. Cyber Jar is just better because you also know what your opponent draws, so you can play your lines accordingly. 2 Smashings, because I still respect zombies, because most of my friends also play zombies, and I hate Giant Rat and Pyramid Turtle and Cocky. So just destroying them. Also Reaper, also versus like Goat Control, I mostly just set 1 in, just to have another out for 1,000 eyes, or like a surprise big monster that comes out, like Jins or something. 1,000 eyes can really stall this deck when you don't have the out. Then we have Swords, can be bounced with Drunade versus aggressive decks, perfect. The second Mind Control that goes in versus Turbo, and that sometimes I take out 2 knocks, for example, against like RGT. And sometimes I do bring in the second Mind Control just to get rid of like a Demog or a Jinzo that I can take so it's not in the way. Then we, of course, have Snatch, the one I mentioned, just against aggressive decks. I don't set it in versus Turbo or Chaos Control. I think it's just sitting too long in the hand to be useful, and you really need cards that do something immediately. Then I have the Mass Driver, really big fan of the card. Good versus Burn, of course, and against lower decks you can also put it in, because with your cat cards they will die anyways, and you can just get 1,600 extra damage with the Will plus Cat. Then we have the 2 Decrees, really good, perfect ratio in my opinion, since when I play against warriors I take out the 3 Dust Druid and put in the 2 Decree and the Mirror Force, because I know when the Decree goes through I get a turn, I would just win at that spot, so I don't care that Decree sometimes conflicts with my Torrential Ring or Mirror Force. Just the perfect ratio, swapping 3 traps for 3 traps. That would be what I have to say about this.
Awesome. So I guess you did answer some of my questions, but I've still got a couple for you. So first off, why did you play this version of Cat? I know we saw Cat Burn top this tournament with Silver Flash was piloting that. A lot of people know I'm a big fan of Cat Burn. Why did you opt for this specific version?
I didn't want to play Burn because it was kind of my mindset that after Burn won Worlds, that everybody sides against Burn, but then there are the smart players and they will expect people are still going to play Burn, so I'm going to side more against Burn. So I thought there was more side in the side versus Burn, so I decided to play an aggressive version, and I also play Cat Burn, but I couldn't really get into it. I liked Panda Burn more, since you don't play that many bricks and can focus like on your chain energy and stuff. But I still need to test it more. But I just feel way more comfortable with this kind of version.
Okay, sure. You mentioned Cyberjar, that this card won you several games throughout this tournament. Why not play any of the jars in the main deck?
Because people will game 1 have 2 knocks in the main, and then they probably, or they should, side it out, because they're just so dead versus this deck. Unless you open like Radiant and you need to set it, of course, then knock is just a 1-for-1. But when I played it in the main deck, it got knocked way too often, and Cyberjar really comes as a surprise for most people. They don't expect it when it's in the sideboard, and it's just way more likelier to go through.
Okay, sure. I kind of thought knock may have been the reason, but I know like this card's just so powerful. I wanted to ask to see if you had any other reasons for maybe relegating it to the side, but that makes sense to me. From there, since you called me out earlier, I swapped MST for United We Stand. Whenever I was playing this deck, in one of my videos, I come from the madcap line of thinking, I love United We Stand. how, like, I know the reasoning you gave for the MST being in the deck is very sound. I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong for playing it, of course. Clearly, you have the tournament wins and I don't. Would you consider playing something like United We Stand, or maybe even like a little bit spicier? I've seen lists like this play Gaia Power before. Would you ever consider maybe finding a slot for something like that in the deck?
For me, I thought that like Cat's will can sometimes be really inconsistent, so I didn't want to have a card that relies on another card. Because like United We Stand, if you play it on one monster, it's 800 bonus. It's not that strong. If you have like two monsters, it gets so good. And then with obviously Cat combo, it's just insane. But at that point, you mostly win anyways. And uh, Gaia Power is just it just gets caught by the spell trap removal. Gaia Power is an interesting idea though. I haven't tried it, but the MST was just so good and all the other cards that I wouldn't consider cutting any.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All hail the good tree. Um, I'm not a believer really in Gaia Power in the deck. I just know I've seen tons of like lists with the whole Earth variant of Cat playing Gaia Power, so I had to bring it up. And this last thing is not really a question, more so a statement of something that I found while trying this deck out a little bit myself. Whenever I first looked at this, whenever I think I was actually, I was commentating one of your matches for a GGP, and I saw the trap dust shoot, and I think in the commentary I say this has to be in the side, and then I saw that it was in your main, and I was like, what is this? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. But then trying out the deck, like you said, this card's insane here. This card like really blew away the expectations that I had for it in the testing. So I'm glad you landed on 3 copies of Trap Dust Shoot in the main deck, despite how much I just hate this card.
Yeah, it's also pretty good versus Cat, so I hate to see it against me. But if you resolve Trap Dust Shoot, it feels so insane. Especially when Cat and Will are already loaded.
Yeah, absolutely. That hand knowledge is huge. But if you don't have anything else to say about the deck, we've got a couple of replays lined up for everybody. We can go ahead and jump into those.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we've got one Swiss match. Speaking of, I believe you said you lost round 1 of this tournament and then went undefeated all the way through the end. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
That's pretty awesome. Which round of Swiss was this match?
Fourth round. So basically, any match I lose after that, except maybe the last round of Swiss, because I could get in with a tiebreak. Every game that I would lose now puts me out of the tournament. So
okay, and so
I was already a bit pressured.
Yeah. Got the back against the wall here. You got a nice opening hand here, though. You can never really complain when you've got a Cyberstein and a Heavy Storm and this Trap Dust Shoot chilling over here.
Yep.
Opponent leading on the T set, so it appears Trap Dust Shoot is going to be live. We're drawing a ring, which is a nice one. Can be a little bit of a non-bow with Stein, but can also just win the game with Stein, so.
Yep.
Going to lead on Heavy Storm here. What's your thinking with this hand?
I had ring in my hand and also Trap Dust Shoot, and I really wanted to get a quick start because while this hand is good, I don't have Will or Cat yet. So I was like, I have the ring, I have the Trap Dust Shoot. Let's just make sure that this Stein gets through, because I was expecting Turbo, and Turbo can have big problems with the Dark Balder that's going to come out.
Okay, so we're going Dark Balter here. Okay, it's an interesting play. A lot of people wait on their Stein. I know you'd already talked about summoning the Dark Balter. I do kind of like that, especially with the Ring of Destruction. You do have a little bit of snatch protection potentially. So don't hate this. Get to clear this Dekoichi. And set both of them.
And then I forgot to attack with Stein because everyone in the tournament just subtracted the life points because they know it's going to get through.
Right.
But of course, you don't have to. And I was just. And then I already clicked end phase, so it was just a really stupid mistake because everyone else did it.
Sure. You can definitely get caught up in things like that. No big deal. So, Trap Dust you here. It's going to reveal we've got a Kaiku, a Jar of Greed, a second Kaiku, a Tsukuyomi, a BLS, and a Breaker. That's not very threatening at all with what you've got, honestly. And we're gonna be sending back the Breaker. That makes sense. So you can just kind of pick and choose where to use this Ring of Destruction. And that's like, if you didn't have this Trap Dust Shoot, you look at your opponent having 6 cards in hand, and maybe like even with the Dark Balter out here, you can feel a little bit fragile in these sort of game states. But now you look at this hand and you're like, oh well, I just win as long as there's not a light in the immediate future. So definitely showing off the power of Trap Dust Shoot here. All right, here comes the Kaiku. All right, Kaiku coming in. Opt to take the damage. I don't hate that. We can already get over the Kaiku. No reason to use the ring here.
Yeah, and the reason is that you have the Wombat in hand, so when it gets summoned, you can ring something from your opponent, and you do not take the ring damage.
Yep. Pretty heads up here. Gigantes. Yeah, we don't have... Whoa. The graveyard's clear. We don't have an Earth in the graveyard just yet. Let's summon out the Wombat. Yeah, attack over the Kaiku. We know that back row is a Jar of Greed. We make sure to not miss the attack this time. Des Wombat getting on in there. And then, yeah, the opponent draws a back row. We know about BLS, Kaiku, Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi can run over a Des Wombat, but that's really... I mean, that would kind of just be good for you because then they wouldn't have another monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here comes Kaiku. No big deal. They do draw Thunder Dragon. Oh, this has the potential to be really funny, actually. Let's see what they... Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because we know what's in hand.
Oh, this is good. Wombat's going hard here.
Then he I think he made the correct play, because when it's everything else than ring, he wins here.
Yep.
And he wants to kill me fast, but it's just the ring and the Wombat on field against the BLS.
Yeah, I don't hate the opponent's play at all, for sure. But that's so awesome. Just Desmond doing the absolute best here. And like the Kaiku can't banish it here. You can't summon the Gigantes because of the Kaiku just yet, but I think I'm pretty happy to see that turn. Oh, never mind. You can summon the Gigantes. Exiled Force.
Yeah, that's a nasty draw.
Get that Kaiku out of here. And we're just going all in. We're not worried about the mirror. Whoa. What?
Yeah. That came out of nowhere.
I was like, we're not worried about Mirror Force or Torrential. We're getting this game over with. But Bottomless Trap. I'm glad I didn't hover over this card to see what it was at first. That's pretty awesome. So,
but at this point, I'm not really worried. Like, I know my opponent has Thunder Dragon plus Tsukuyomi. If he draws any spell, it's just bad for him. Yep. So
I guess Snatch Steel would do it here, but that's a one-of.
Snatch Steel would be the only card. Yeah, that's one of.
Yeah, Tsukuyomi and, well, we see here it's a Jar of Greed.
Another jar.
Gigante's not bad. Now you can, yeah, and just Premature Burial first. Fish for the Torrential or something here. You know the monster Tsukuyomi.
Also the synergy between... Yeah, because also the synergy between Prima and Exiled Force is just really great. Yep. Just multiple Exiled Forces. That's why always try to not banish it with Gigantes unless I
Mhm.
absolutely have to.
Yep. Oh yeah, I know what this hand does. These are the ones where I'm just sitting here and I'm like just praying, giant Trunade. Give me a giant Trunade.
You're sitting there with the biggest smile on your face.
Yep.
And then you draw the second
Yeah.
Radiant.
uh, all right. Yep. Just setting the Mindless Radiant. I love this play to start off the game. It's a little bit better when you're going first, but that's all right. We're just in giant Trunade waiting room here. Kaiku coming down. Yeah, this is a Tsukuyomi. Ew, Metamorphosis. Okay. And we see the Scapegoat over here. It's kind of interesting. If this wasn't control, like we didn't see the control side of things in that game one. So if the opponent sided into control, they kind of opened themselves up to Panda a little bit more. I know some people like to side in the control package because it's better against stuff like Lily and the Stein aspect of the deck. But it can come back to bite them. You don't really want to flip up Scapegoat against a Gyakugiri Panda deck, that's for sure.
I don't know how experienced he is versus Cat because he didn't see Cat game one.
Mm-hmm.
He saw like the Wombats. So he could still be thinking, I just play Earth Aggro with like weird Wombat main, maybe to counter burn.
That's true. Scapegoat, not the best against just desserts either. But we did see double Kaiku from the opponent game one, though, so maybe the opponent was just on control, and this is a control deck as well. This is funny. We flip the Kaiku down to play around like Snatch and stuff, and Mindless Radiant's just gonna Mindless Radiant's gonna force out a ring.
That was probably the best Radiant in my life.
Yeah, yeah. You love to see that. Now we can just summon out the Gigantes. Beautiful. Yeah, Scapegoat's fine here. Especially with a cat in hand. Now you have double Panda coming down with a ring.
Yeah, I also decided because I had no direct out for like the restrict without committing a cat that you really need to be sometimes greedy with the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And here it paid off because if now the restrict would go through, my only out right now would be to like get Exile Force with Will.
Yep. Yeah, I guess with the last will, you actually have triple Panda here if you want it. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's the Trunade we were asking for. We'll drop that down, and we'll be winning this match. Thank you. Here come the Pandas. I imagine you get another cat here. Oh, we're going to go for the Stein.
No, I actually got Stein. Yes, because because I don't think I sided in the third Panda.
Okay.
At that point, because I didn't believe the opponent would side in the Scapegoats. Yeah.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Having not, I'm just operating, I guess, on the information that we have right here in the current game. But yeah, like you didn't see the Scapegoat stuff game one, same as your opponent didn't see the cat stuff game one. So no, that makes total sense. Stein, I believe, is just getting the job done here anyway, right? This is 28, 23, 24. Yeah.
It's 51 plus 24.
Yep, that should do it. Yep. All right. So that's how we took down round 4 here in Swiss. Kind of showing off a little bit of like, especially in that game 1. A lot of people, whenever they talk about the cat deck, they say you have to have cat and last will to win games. And, obviously that's just not true. There's no way that you're going to top 8 or even win a tournament by drawing cat and last will every single game. So I'm glad we got to see the deck not do cat stuff at all and still pretty decisively win a game. That's pretty sick.
Yeah. Except until the very end, but the game 1 was like completely without cat.
Yeah. All right, and then you said we've got one more match here.
Yeah, it's like a quicker one, especially the game 1. I don't want to spoil anything. I think it's just very, very funny.
All right, I specifically didn't watch these because I wanted to see them first as we watch them. So I appreciate the no spoilers. Oh, there's our first Trinity. And there's our second. Okay. I imagine your opponent's on Panda burn here, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like, one thing you have to always think about is I think against Ludi, I did game 3. I did not pot turn 1, although I had it in my hand, because I had the Cyber Jar, like in the other match. And I, you don't want to draw all your cat targets, especially like Stein and Lily. So sometimes it can be good to hold on to your pot and Grace, but it's really dependent. And obviously, I used it here to dig for a Trapdust Root, and it was the last card I got. So
yep, absolutely rewarded. Yeah, completely. This hand is nuts after this Graceful Charity. Get rid of Panda, and I imagine, yeah, get rid of the Milus Radiance, and like both of your Gigantes are online. You've got Cat with Torrential, which is a sick combo. Trap, Dust Shoot, and a Ring. This, yeah. This hand is loaded. Okay, interesting. What was the reasoning behind not playing out the Torrential? Is it just play around Heavy Storm a little bit better?
Yeah, I wanted to play around the Heavy Storm, and I like Ring more because it already gets damage in.
Okay.
And like I already have the knock, so I'm neither worried about a face-up monster nor a face-down monster, and I have Cat double Gigantis.
Okay.
So yeah,
that makes sense to me. Trap Dust Shoot's going to show Barrel, Jar, Chain Energy, Gardna, Chain Energy, and another Jar. So let's see. You've got pretty much everything covered except for Gardna. Though you've got that covered with Ring, but I don't know how great that actually is. I haven't done the math. You might just be able to win with Rescue Cat plus double Gigantes knock. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go out on a limb and say you take the Big Shield Gardna here. I was right.
Yeah. I needed to do some math.
Yeah. Okay, yep. Set everything. We're setting the Morphing Jar. Here come the Chain Energies. Those are not going to matter at all here, I would imagine. Exile Force. Doesn't matter either. I assume the game is just over here. Pay 1,000 for this.
Yeah, I pay 1,000.
I guess the Secret Barrel is getting pretty spicy, but it's not going to be quite close enough here.
Yeah, I think I calculated that if my board is full, die to Secret Barrel.
Okay.
And I do not.
Yep, get rid of the dog. Here comes another Gigantes. You're at 4,000. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the barrel's only doing 1,400. So even if you like ring something here, I guess it would have to be a Milus Radiant. You're totally fine. But this is 58, 61. Yeah. You've got the game here.
Yeah, and this shows, again, the power of Trapdust Root. I knew exactly what my opponent had. I know that I have game because when I didn't know what he had, I might not have committed fully because like a gravity bind can really kind of destroy me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's also just double radiant. Normally in this situation, it wouldn't matter if you got like a minus wombat instead of the radiant, because it would have been 7,700 damage, and because of the chain energy, your opponent can't play cards from his hand. But the double radiant brings 2 Gigantes and the 2 Radiants over 8,000.
Yep. That was pretty sick. All right, we get game 1 here. We all know you win this match. We got that spoiler, but we'll see how the game 2 goes here. How do you feel about the cat versus burn matchup?
I think game 1, if you open with spell trap removal plus cat, can be really advantageous because I also play 2 wombats. But like if they lock your field with a Jama Druid, it can get really dicey because like the arch is in the side. So I would say, although it seems favored, I would say it's about 50-50.
Okay.
But post side, I definitely have the advantage over burn.
Sure. That makes sense to me. Knock coming down. Sangan getting out of here. It's a pretty good knock. We've got the Pot of Greed as well. Sure. All good cards.
And pot second because I think I said it in the Cyber Jar. I just thought that maybe if it's the flip monster or stuff, I can remove it first.
Okay, sure. That
Also,
helps a little bit with Secret Barrel too.
Yeah, also the pot draws wouldn't matter, and obviously the Secret Barrel goes.
Yep. Okay. I like just getting in there with DD Assailant, not using one of these like the Giant Tornado or the Heavy Storm right here. We do run into Cylinder, but that's fine. We've got Royal Decree for all these follow-up traps. Okay. Now we decree. We draw another decree. Okay.
Yeah, that's a bit too much spell trap removal.
Yep. Giant Rat is an interesting one against Injection Fairy Lily. Ooh. And we've got the Kinetic Soldier here.
Yeah.
We gonna we gonna let this Lily go? No, we're gonna activate it once. Okay. I guess.
Yeah, because yeah.
What about? Okay, we're gonna activate it. No, we're gonna let it go this time. You lost. I saw the life point counter go down. I was like, oh, we're activating again, but no.
No, I thought that with. I mean, we draw the cat.
Yep.
I know that it's risky, but because I didn't draw optimally and I don't have remove for the rat, I kind of need to take a risk here. Like, I can't remove the rat. He can always get Lily. Lily gets boosted by my own Radiance, so I cannot get over it. And here I thought, like, maybe he doesn't have another monster. I can get through this turn, maybe draw, like, a Smashing Ground, or I will.
Mm-hmm. Sure. No, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Gonna be going to a game 3 here. Just drew, like you said, not optimally. Drew way too much spell and trap interaction there. But that's how it is sometimes. All right, cat, please. Ooh, well, we'll accept a graceful charity too. This is a great start. No cat, but we do have a wombat, so things could be worse. We're just dropping both of the Milus Radiance. That makes sense to me. Also have Exiled Force to go along with Last Will, so do you keep in Stein in this matchup, or do you side it out with this list?
I do not. Burn, I do not, because I know, like, even when I win a Trunate and then kill him, he just chains like double Secret Barrel or like Other burn stuff, I go 5,000 or under. Stein is going to be dead. So
Okay.
I don't want to take the risk.
That makes sense to me. Heavy Storm on the swords means, yeah, they've got something to deal with the Wombat, but things could be a lot worse. Gonna take them down to 5,800, so... Ooh. That's probably the best draw in the deck. Slam down that Heavy Storm.
That might have been the best roll.
Yeah, this game's over right here. Last will, Exiled Force, goodbye your Injection Fairy Lily, and goodbye your life points, doing a double.
I had the Injection Fairy Lily in the deck, but I thought in order to get my invite, I really need to showcase the full power of Cat, and I need to go for full Cat board.
Oh, I respect the hell out of that. With double Wombat against Burn, just for good measure. I love it. Yep. That's 42, 5,000, 6,300. So having that third copy of Mindless Radiant coming in pretty clutch here. So you can win this one in style.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are the matches. Of course, you went on to beat Don't Copy in the finals after this, which is not an easy task. So, and honestly, playing against D-Day Merrick, not an easy task either. This is a very, very good Panda Burn player. So losing round one and then winning out and having to play a lot of really good players on the way, it's a very, very good showing for you and for the Cat deck. So congratulations on your win here and your invite to the GOAT Format World Championship. I know that's forever away at this point, but we will be seeing you at GOAT Worlds in 2026. Did you have anything else to say before we sign off here?
Yeah, I just want to say huge thanks for you featuring the deck. I also want to give huge shout outs to all my GOAT friends in Germany that supported me. They also helped me like forge this deck into what it is, and especially the biggest love to my girlfriend. She got me into GOAT. She supported me all the way, especially the evening, because I was like very ill, and she just brought me tea and stuff. I just couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah, the Germans are taking over GOAT Format. Definitely a lot of good players over there. So looking forward to seeing more from them this season. But yeah, once again, congratulations to you on taking this one down. I love Rescue Cat. Thank you for bringing it to the forefront even more. And I very much appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me.
Of course, it was a pleasure.
All right, well, that's going to be our video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back with the next one.